How about it, folks? Week 14, Sharpening the Edge. Lucas Reimink is part of the Maize and Blue Review. So am I. I'm Dennis Fithian, and we are ready to get things underway on this Black Friday. How you doing, Lucas?
Doing really well. It's always a great time of the year. Love rivalry weekend for college football. It's always one of the best of the year, no matter how the games go. So I'm really excited, really looking forward to the games this weekend.
Yep, and for those of you that don't know, I think everybody does. We have a bunch of picks for you each and every week. Michigan, Michigan State, and the Lions. Too bad we didn't pick the Lions yesterday. I almost called you to get your pick, but we will not pick them. We'll pick them next week. Plus, we have three best bets of the week that we will give you. How did you do last week, Lucas?
Really well, 5-1. So
Woo!
brings me to 39-32 on the season, +7. So guaranteed myself a above 500 finish in the regular season, which is always good. So yeah, 5-1 was great. Hopefully we can keep it going this week.
Yeah, I wish I could have joined you there. I did not. 2-4 last week, which actually made two games under 500 for the week. But the good news is I'm still +5 on the good side for the year. So that's good, but it just makes a long week when you have a bad week. And actually, I should have been 1-5. Michigan, I was pretty confident picking over Northwestern. That was a good pick, but I picked Illinois and they won. But man, it was a miracle win. You take those, especially when you're under 500. But I'm ready to get back into it and have a good week like I have the majority of this season. And we will start out with the best rivalry in all of sports. That's Michigan and Ohio State. It looked like good news for Michigan in terms of Colston Loveland and Will Johnson, but a gigantic number, 19.5 points. Interesting to see how you handicap this game.
Yeah, so I wouldn't go betting your mortgage or anything on this one. I'm not super confident in this. But I did think Michigan played by far the best game of the season so far last week against Northwestern. And the offense, at least in my opinion, looked quite a bit different. They were mixing in some early down passing plays, which was new and it was good. And they got the wide receivers involved a little bit more with some screens and quick game and stuff outside, which I thought helped open up the run game, get those guys a little bit out of the box. To me, it looked like they made a tweak of how they're going to run the offense in these last couple of weeks. And I thought it looked really good against Northwestern. I think they're going to keep up a similar style of play here against Ohio State. Obviously, Ohio State's defense is way better than Northwestern, but I do think the change will help the running game as well. The defense for Michigan, I think, has also gotten better as the season's gone on. I've been critical of Wink at times, adjusting to the college game and all, but I got to give him a lot of credit these last 2 weeks. He's been figuring stuff out. The defense has definitely gotten better as the season's gone on. And then Ohio State on the other side, banged up offensive line. We talked about it a little bit last week. I think they're obviously going to have a huge advantage in the passing game with those wide receivers going against Michigan's DBs, particularly without Will Johnson. But I do think if Michigan can control the line of scrimmage here in this game, like I think they will, I think it'll be able to keep this game closer than people might expect. So I'll take Michigan plus the 19.5 here.
Well, I wish you had your faith about Michigan and all the things that you say I believe are correct. I'm still having a hard time getting there with the quarterback, the passing game. And I know it was one game against Northwestern, but I haven't liked the coaching overall in-game decisions over the last month or so. And it looks like Colston Loveland's going to be involved in this game. And I know Ohio State, they've been waiting for a game like this for 4 or 5 years that they could just have Michigan where they want them. And Michigan's had a great last 3 years, and the future looks bright, but I just don't think it's going to happen in this game, and that's why I have to lay the 19.5, which is no fun to say. But let's go on and look at some of the other games. Michigan State -2 versus Rutgers. It might not be a big deal to handicappers thinking, oh, Michigan State could be bowl eligible, but Michigan State is at home. That's a small number, and yeah, Rutgers hung in there with Illinois, and State's not great. They turned the ball over and everything else, but I got to pick them to win this game, and I'm going to, so I'm going to lay the 2 points.
I'm with you on this one. A lot of reasons for it. Rutgers had kind of a challenging season. Coming into the year, people thought they were going to have like an 8-4, 9-3 type of ascension sort of season, but injuries in key spots have really just killed them, particularly at linebacker. 6-5 overall there for Rutgers now, but 3-5 in conference play. Things have kind of fallen apart as they've gone through the Big Ten season. They did play Illinois tough last week, like you mentioned, but they lost in that crazy last-second touchdown. think coming off like a tough, dramatic last second loss in that, and like a season that's already been a little bit of a disappointment. Just think it's going to be a hard spot to bounce back from. So I'll take Sparty as well, as long as they're under that 3, that field goal there, like you mentioned. And they're still fighting for bowl eligibility too. So I do think that matters to them, and at least the staff for sure would like to get to a bowl game. So I'm right there with you on that one. Don't love it, but I'll take Michigan State to cover as long as it's under a field goal.
Yeah, if Michigan State wins this game, they've had an acceptable season. And if it's either they've had an acceptable season or an unacceptable season, and if they lose, it's been an unacceptable season for Jonathan Smith. So it all comes down to tomorrow for MSU. Well, we already told you about the Lions 23-20, and Eberflus, the head coach, let go today. I don't think the Bears had any other choice after a holiday decision like that one. That one goes down in the annals as one of the worst coaching decisions, that letting that clock run out. You ever seen anything as bad as that?
No, I mean, it was almost as bad as the Miami not taking a kneel down a couple years ago in college football against Georgia Tech. It was almost that level bad. It was just perplexing, really, in all areas. Have like 40 seconds left, and you're on the positive side of the 50, and you don't even get like a field goal attempt off. Was pretty crazy to me. But yeah, I mean, Lions just got to take the win. Didn't play well really the entire second half. Just needed to score the touchdowns in the first half, I think, and you would have put that game away. But you kind of let them hang around by kicking all those field goals. So, yeah, I was kind of lucky for the Lions to get out there with a win and take all the wins you get in the NFL.
That's right. Last 50 years, you'd say normally that's the Lions that do things like that at the end of the game. But here we are. It is a different time with the Detroit Lions. All right, that gets us to our best bets of the week. And you have the tee box with the successful run that you had last week. So we're all ears with your best bet number 1.
Sure. For my first one, I'm going down to the Palmetto State, South Carolina on Clemson. I'm going to take the visiting Gamecocks plus 2.5 on the road at Clemson. South Carolina is a surging team. They're kind of playing their best football here late in the season, which to me is always a good sign. Their quarterback, Lenore Sellers, is a good young ascending quarterback. He's always had the mobility aspect. He's a very athletic quarterback, but these last 2 weeks, he's looked like he's trying to get a handle of it, throwing the football as well. He's kind of had some steps taken in accuracy and decision making, and it's really helped that offense flow. And every bigger game that I've watched so far for Clemson this year, they just kind of seem like they let you down in the big spots. Georgia, they played Louisville, who was at the time who was ranked, and they just kind of wet the bed there. Just kind of down on Clemson until I see them win one of these bigger games. So I'm taking the Gamecocks. I think they went out right here actually on the road. So glad they take that plus 2.5.
Great pick. That's the one I was looking at, but I did not go with that one. I am going with Vandy. They've been good to me this week or this year. I took them against Alabama. I took them another time, and they won as well. I'm taking them again, 6-1 versus SEC against the spread this year. And Tennessee, they have not been the same team on the road. I'll take those 11 points. When you got a good quarterback like Vandy does and you're at home, they'll be able to keep this one around, get it to the fourth quarter, and I might even put them on the money line if I get real wanting to gamble in this one. So I'll take Vandy plus 11 against Tennessee with my best bet number 1. So we'll go back to you. Best bet number 2.
I'm going to take another visiting rivalry team here. I'm going to go with Florida, minus 17.5 against Florida State. Just really like the way Florida's playing right now. Kind of put some low-key money line on them last week to beat Ole Miss. So I was
Nice.
pleasantly surprised to see that one go down. Been really impressed with DJ Lagway these last few weeks since he's taken over the starting job. To me, he seems like a superstar quarterback in the making. Obviously young, still makes some freshman mistakes, but I think he's really on his way up there. Florida State, obviously, it's going to be their last game of the season here. Nothing to play for in particular out of the rivalry aspect of it. They've already fired multiple assistant coaches. They've had total disaster of a season. At 2-9, like you factor in the home field advantage normally in rivalries, but at 2-9, like who's going to want to show up in Tallahassee to watch them, as a big like not going to win type spread here against the in-state rival Florida. I just think it's going to be an empty crowd. I think Florida's the better team anyways. Two teams kind of on two different trajectories here. So I'm going to take the team on the rise, and I think once they smell blood in the water, I think they're going to keep pressing that advantage. So I got Florida winning this 34-13, which will give me to cover that 17.5 there.
I like that pick. I think if there's any Seminole fans showing up, they might have paper bags on their heads, and there's going to be a lot more of the chomp than there is the chop going on in that game. That's a good one. My best bet number 2, I am laying the big number, Indiana. Indiana, they want to be in the college football playoff. They're all set up to do this. Purdue, you look at the numbers, this is an easy bet. Indiana has every number. I know they, as put it in your words, wet the bed last week, but they looked pretty good on that first drive. If they didn't have their special team snafus, they could have stayed in that game a little bit better. Purdue, terrible game, and I think Cignetti's just going to keep his foot on the gas in this one. And you look at some of the numbers against Purdue this year, 59 by Notre Dame. They lost by 46 to Wisconsin, 35 to Oregon. If you're scared about that 29 points, Ohio State beat them by 45. Penn State beat them by 35, I think. So you have all of that to look at. I think this is a steal. That's why I am laying that gigantic number and betting the Hoosiers minus 25. And that gets us to your play. I didn't think you were going to take Purdue minus 29 or plus 29. So I think we're going to have different picks. Your best bet number 3.
My third one, I'm going to take a home dog in the rivalry this time. USC catching 6.5 against Notre Dame. I'm going to side with the Trojans here. USC has had kind of a disappointing season, 6-5. Notre Dame playing really well these last few games. But listen to the schedule of the teams Notre Dame's played since they've been on that early season win streak. They lost, obviously, week 3 to NIU. Since then, here's who they've played. Purdue, Miami of Ohio, Louisville, which is decent, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Florida State, Virginia, and Army. Not exactly a murderer's row of a schedule there. I think this USC team is battle-tested. Almost every game they play in is really tough, and they're very competitive in every single game. Even though they lost a bunch of them, they're still right there. I saw a stat earlier this week that they've had the lead in the fourth quarter of every single game they've lost so far this year. And when you have 5 losses, that's quite a statement. So I think this USC team, they're battle tested. I think they're a resilient group. They benched Miller Moss the last couple of weeks in favor of Jaden Mayava. He's a little bit more of a gunslinger. He's going to throw it up there, give his wide receivers a chance to make a play down the field. He also has the mobility aspect, which Miller Moss didn't have, which I think will help him against this Notre Dame defense. I think they'll keep it close, maybe even win outright. So I'll take them plus 6.5 there at home for USC.
All right, so it looks like you've got 2 underdogs in South Carolina and USC, and you are taking Florida for your best bets. My third best bet is, we've got them all up here now. I'm also taking Oklahoma at LSU. LSU, these last 3 weeks, they've lost them all, and they have proven they're one-dimensional team, and looks like a little turmoil there. They can't run the ball. Oklahoma beating Alabama next week. They're a team that's surging. I like Oklahoma outright in this game, so I'll gladly take the 6 points and the Sooners. And for me, I'll take Oklahoma plus 6, Indiana minus 26, and Vandy plus 11. And as mentioned, Lucas also taking 2 underdogs in USC and South Carolina, and you like Florida to take care of Florida State on the road. All very reasonable picks. All look like a bunch of money winners for this rivalry weekend.
Yeah, hopefully we'll end on a strong note. Another positive 4-2, 5-1 type week, and get us ready for bowl season.
Woo! Well, we're going to pick these championships. It's going to be championship games next week, right?
Yep.
We'll do it. All right, Lucas, good luck, and we'll see how you do over the weekend. Good luck to both of us. Have a good weekend.
Absolutely.
There he is. Smash that like button.